This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Curd. I welcome you to another sports catastrophe birthday boy. No, it's not a birthday boy, it's a birthday girl. For the third time in 5 days, it's a girl. And this girl is an icon in the Canadian tennis world. She's still active. She's 21 years old now because she was born June16, 2000. She's Bianca Andreescu. She was ranked number 4 in the world at one time, but she's the highest ranked Canadian in history of the WTA, the Women's Tennis Association. She won the U.S. Open and Canadian Open in 2019 to get both titles. The first Canadian player to win a Grand Slam singles title, and the first to win the Canadian Open in 50 years, both male or female. So anyway, she actually became the first player to be a Grand Slam champion before the age of 20 since Maria Sharapova in 2004. And she was the first tennis-born player born in the 21st century to win a Grand Slam title. Andreescu actually played tennis in her parents' home country, Romania, before coming to Canada. She had a breakout season in 2019. She was runner-up in the Auckland Open, but then she rose to prominence for what she did at the Indian Wells Open and a lot of things. So anyway, she was born in Mississauga, with her parents emigrating from Romania to Canada. Her family moved back to Romania when she was 6 so that her mother could start a business in her home country. But after 2.5 years, they closed the business and moved back to Canada. All that. Andreescu had a decent junior career. However, 2019 was one of the most powerful seasons of all time. She had a breakthrough season. She didn't play in the WTA for 14 months and breakthrough from outside the top 100 into the upper echelon. She qualified for the Auckland Open, and she actually upset Caroline Wozniacki, who was the number 1 seed in that tournament. She beat 3 top 40 players before losing the final to Julia Georges of France. She also qualified for the Australian Open and beat Whitney Osselwake, but she lost her second matchup. But she did okay. She ended up being number 68 in the world after the Australian Open. She took a semi-final appearance at the Mexican Open, but then the Indian Wells Open happens, the premier mandatory matchup. She won her first title. She would take down 4 top 20 players in the final 4 rounds. In the semis, she took down Ukraine's Elena Svitolina, and in the final, she beat Angelique Kerber, number 8 seed from Germany. She was the first wildcard women's singles champion in Indian Wells history and the first 18-year-old since Serena Williams to win that event. So she jumped up to number 24. Andreescu would play in the Miami Open, but her right shoulder would hurt her in the 4th round. She had to retire from the match. Basically, that shoulder injury cost her dearly, as she didn't play much after that. She missed the French Open and Wimbledon. So Andreescu made her massive return at the Canadian Open in Toronto in front of her hometown fans, if you will. She had to deal with 3-set matches. Were huge. Remember, in women's events, they play best of 3 sets. Well, they do in men's too, but Grand Slams it's best of 5. So basically, Andreescu put on a clinic. She shocked number 5 Kiki Bertens and number 3 Karolina Pliskova to get to the final against Serena Williams. It was going to be one for the record books for Canadian TV viewing, because I bet like 5 million people were going to be glued to their sets to watch Bianca versus Serena for the Canadian Open matchup. Sadly, though, it was short-lived, as Serena had back spasms. She was down 3 games to 1 in the first set, and she decided to forfeit. She would move on to number 14 in the world. So Andreescu would play in the U.S. Open. The funny thing is that she got to the final without facing a top 10 opponent, as the best seeds she faced were number 19 Caroline Wozniacki in round 3 and number 12 Belinda Bencic in the semis. She took She toppled both of them and would face Serena Williams. The problem was that obviously Andreescu was not going to be popular because, it's Serena in the US Open. But Serena was aiming to tie the great Margaret Smith Court for Grand Slam titles with 24. The previous year, Serena lost that heavily contested final when the chair umpire screwed up the warning system and all that. And Naomi Osaka won for Japan, which was nice, but still. Serena was right that the chair umpire screwed up, made a mistake, because the chair umpire punished Serena for getting coaching, even though that it was kind of hit or miss on that. Anyway, Andreescu looked good. She was the first Canadian player to win a Grand Slam title and the first teenage champion since Maria Sharapova. She was actually the first player to win the U.S. Open in their main draw debut, and the quickest to win a Grand Slam singles titles by main draw appearances were just 4, shared by Monica Seles. She would moved up to number 5. She would lose in the quarterfinals of the China Open to Osaka, who would basically, so that closed out Andreescu's 17-match winning streak. What didn't do well in the WTA finals because she had a knee injury. She was still given Canada's Athlete of the Year award, the Lou Marsh Trophy. Basically, injuries would hurt her, and COVID as well. She returned to competition for the first time in 15 months at the 2021 Australian Open. She was seeded 8th. She beat her opponent, but lost in the second round to the Taiwan master Shea Su Wei. She went to the final of the Miami Open, but lost to Ashley Barty of Australia, the number 1 seed player in the world. Unfortunately, Andreescu would suffer a first-round loss at the French Open, which kind of ticks me off in a sense. She has a pretty good player and all that. She's very much supported by Canadian and Romanian fans, obviously. Bianca has a dog named Coco, a poodle, who likes to watch her matches. Coco was allowed into the venue during the U.S. Open success. So basically, that was amazing how, the dog was allowed to be in the box. But the dog was kind of a small dog. So basically, what happened? It didn't matter. I mean, this was amazing for Bianca Andreescu to be a Canadian star and to give Canada a Grand Slam title that basically Genie Bouchard couldn't give. Like, Milos Raonic hasn't given it. But then again, I mean, you got Ogier Olusegun and Shapovalov and all that. So maybe we'll get to see another few Grand Slam titles. I hope so. I really do. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.